changes in the environment, the economy. There's so many factors that you have to think about as an entrepreneur, and you have to arm yourself and prepare for that. And for somebody that's just starting out, they don't have a clue. So, as you get more experience under your belt, you come in and you undergird these entrepreneurs and you let them know that yes, there are down times. Yes, there are times that don't look as great and optimistic, but you can weather the storms and navigate those seasons, and you can thrive and prosper in what it is that you want to do. I cannot tell you how many times I was laughed at, criticized, and mocked in so many different ways. I would love to tell you this story that everything just went great and everybody just clapped and celebrated and business just took off. And that's just not a reality. There was a lot of skepticism, a lot of criticism, a lot of mocking, a lot of laughing, a lot of people like, what are you doing and why are you doing this? And you really have to have tough skin in the world of entrepreneurship, because you have to understand that most people in your life only know how to be employees. They've never run anything, or if they have run it, they've run it under the umbrella of a corporation where they're not solely responsible. When you're an entrepreneur, you are solely responsible for the life and the health of that business. Every decision you make, everything you do is determining the future of that business and what happens with it. So they don't understand that, because if something goes wrong, they go report to their superior. There's resources, things in place that you don't have. So trying to discuss business with an employee minded individual is just going to be frustrating, and they don't get it because they haven't run. And then some people, once they do jump into entrepreneurship, they come back and they're like, oh Jamal, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. A lot of assumptions are made because they have not really run a business. And I had a lot of moments where I asked myself, why am I doing this? I believe every entrepreneur listening to me has had those moments where you ask yourself, why in the world am I doing this? And the other question that I've asked myself, what have I got myself into? It sounded exciting and thrilling, and the vision looked great on paper and in your heart and your mind. And all of these obstacles and these different things started to happen. And it's like, what in the world am I doing? And what have I got myself into? And how do I get out of this? How can I run for the nearest exit? I've had those moments. However, if you told me that I would still be standing 14 years later, I probably would have laughed at you. I know I would have laughed. Not even probably. I would have laughed. I was like, no way that this will make it for 14 years. It looked that bleak at times. And many of you have seen me on television. You've read the magazine articles and the interviews of all of the adversity and the challenges that have come with business and how I've learned so much along the way. But no, I would not have ever imagined that it would still be here after all this time. And to be honest, if it was not for great mentors and advisors and people in my life, I would not be doing this, because the level of frustration that I had years ago and discouragement around it, I would have just said, forget it, go do something else. But there were people that really believed in me and trained me and mentored me and helped me to make some adjustments and some changes that paid off in a tremendous way. And so today, JSI is much more than I ever imagined it could be. When I started off, I didn't even see all of the things that JSI is involved with today. I just wanted to find a way to help businesses and leaders to reach their potential and to be on the cutting edge and to solve global problems and to bring solutions to industries and nations. That was really the bulk of what I wanted to do. I had no idea that books would come and keynote presentations would come and training programs would come and all of the incredible, I mean, I had no idea a podcast would come. None of these things that JSI is doing today, I would have ever imagined. I didn't see that in the toolkit of what I was building at that time, but I'm grateful for what it has become. I never even thought that thought leadership was part of what I was building. In fact, it wasn't until a good friend of mine told me years into JSI in the business, he was like, Jamel, you are the epitome of a thought leader. And I'm like, no, this person is a thought leader and that's a thought leader. And when he really broke it down for me and really told me what a thought leader was, I said, I guess I am a thought leader. And then more people started to say it, and then mentors and advisors started to say, yes, Jamel, you are a thought leader. And when major media outlets and all of this publicity and press and attention kept coming, it's like, yes, you are an authority and a thought leader. But like I said, when you have struggled so much just to keep the business afloat and to keep it from going under, I didn't see any of those things. So thought leadership is like one of the biggest umbrellas for me today. And it's such an honor to write and to do interviews and to speak on platforms about leadership, nation building, the developing of worlds, economic policies, issues, all of these things that I would have never imagined that I would be doing, that I'm able to do today. And so from a very small seed in my heart, JSI has grown into a global brand, making a global impact. Now, one thing that I have always had an intention about, and that is the international part. I didn't just want something local and homegrown. That's great, but I wanted it to have global reach and global appeal, and that happened pretty rapidly and pretty quickly. Around the world, people begin to understand. And I think some of that boils down to social media, but I think a lot of that really boils down to the podcast. When we really started years ago to unpack the data behind the podcast, and there were countries I had never heard of, there were nations I was totally unfamiliar with that were listening to this podcast. And then people began to reach out to me from parts of the world. And I'm like, how do you even know who I am or what I do? It really let me know the power of this platform and this medium that I've been given, and to use it accordingly, because there are a lot of people listening in places that you would never imagine. And so it has really given me a global reach and a global footprint that goes around the world. And that has even opened up other opportunities for us to expand and to create the global brand that we're creating through Jamel Sanders International. And as the congratulatory messages came in this week, I found myself very emotional. Because you just kind of do the work. I've always been the type of person just do the work. You're not as reflective as you probably should be on certain milestones and events in your life, but it just all kind of came full circle to me, and I kind of remembered how far I've come, all of the things that I've had to encounter, all of the adversity I've had to overcome, all of the challenges, all of the critics, all of the skeptics, all of the negativity, everything that has opposed me on this journey. And it just brought up a lot of different emotions for me. And I think the thing that was so powerful is that people were sharing stories and moments of how my life and work over the years has meant so much to them and profoundly impacted their lives. Things that I never knew, stories that I had never heard, people that I didn't even know were being impacted or watching or being influenced by my work. And it was just amazing to see how this very small seed in my heart this very small desire to empower people to fulfill their purpose and to realize their potential has grown into something so massive today. I think the thing that was so humbling for me as I was reading and hearing these congratulatory statements and stories is